Hey everyone, Eric Watson here, freelance writer, player games writer, boards, recorder of videos, and a tabletop role-playing aficionado. Welcome to the Monday edition of bi-weekly behind-the-scenes DM-only live stream, Crafting the Deep, which I build right and prepare for our next session of Call from the Deep. If you are playing characters Gottwald, Moxava, or Twirl, this stream is not meant for you. We'll be full of spoilers, but for the rest of you, welcome. We stream our D&D sessions live on YouTube every Friday. You can join our official Discord server with invite link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel, please check out patreon.com/RogueWatson. For our campaign, we use Roll20 for streaming. I use OBS Studio. James is correct. Heather is the youngest one in this party. Rochelle is the youngest one overall from all of our parties. And then I am the youngest one of my guy friends, I guess. He used to have another good best friend growing up who was actually part of our whole group, but when we went to college, he ended up going with meeting a whole frat and doing different things and kind of lost contact with him. Although he was at my wedding, and he was actually younger than me. He's one of the only people I know that was younger. I have a summer birthday, so when you have a summer birthday, you have to choose, as a parent, what do you do with the kid, right? Do you put them in when they're going to be younger the whole way or when they're going to be older the whole way? So I was the younger one, so I was always younger than most kids. Like when I went to school, most kids would turn the next age during the school year, and I never did until later that summer, which means I graduated high school at age 17 and then turned 18 over that summer. So I will be the last of my D&D guy friends to turn 40 this summer. On a happier note, happy Deadpool and Wolverine trailer day. Holy crap, that was so exciting and fun. Man, I am hyped for that movie. I think Ryan Reynolds was fucking born to play Deadpool. He has played so many different superheroes and tried to make them work in different ways, but he's so fun at Deadpool, and has there ever been better casting than Hugh Jackman as Wolverine? Literally played it for 20 plus years now. Like, this is going to be so exciting. Get violently inserting them into the MCU, doing all the fun, just multiversal bullshit stuff. Just awesome trailer that came out. That got Cassandra Nova. The fucking Liefeld joke was so on point. I was distracting my wife. I was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, it's Liefeld's just feet. And I had to explain the whole thing to her. Just as a comic fan, as somebody who loves superhero movies and Marvel movies and has grown up with them for 20 years, whatever, I am so fucking excited for that movie. So I just had to go off on a rant. That is a really cool trailer. All right, for Call from the Deep and D&D. This is our third crafting session we've had now for this coming session, which is good because we have a shit ton of stuff to talk about still. I think we're on level 2 right now, talking about the specific areas that are going to have major things happening. We kind of did an overall look at level 2, I think, last Thursday, kind of a skim on what all these various rooms are. They're mostly like just barracks and side rooms and things that the players really shouldn't jack with. The main areas I think we need to worry about are going to be the throne room on the very north and the temple in the middle. These are going to be our two main boss fights and the rooms I want to pay the most attention to. Every other side room can kind of be a whatever thing and just designed for if the party wants to explore and take up more of the resources, try to find some treasure, that's fine. But they've got very specific objectives they need to tackle, and every, so long that they're down here is going to have to be more time that I'll have to put pressure on them and maybe send some patrols after them. So for the temple, which I think we're still looking at, close all my tabs, I have added a few graphics, so sorry, Bear, for besmirching your excellent map art, but as always, I'm not using the dungeon module quite as written, although this one is pretty close. This one's a lot closer than Salvage Operation was, where I really changed everything. This one is pretty much just changing this one room, in fact, because they're no longer worshipping Sekala, so I'm not using the big two-handed shark. Instead, we are using, I think, an Uchulan, which is included in Call from the Deep, but the version I'm using is actually from Monster Manual Expanded. I forget which actual number it is for Monster Manual Expanded, because it's a little bit stronger. Still CR7, which was the same as the Maw of Sekala. However, the Maw had legendary actions and legendary resistance. This thing does not, so I would love to get some opinions from all of you on whether we need to work on this battle or change things or how your balance feels on it. And before we jump into that, I'll go over what all's in this room because this creature is kind of beastly. So I'm going to keep the 3 priestesses doing a ritual. But instead of doing a ritual to appease the Mob Sekala, they're doing a ritual to actually keep the Lizard Queen in stasis. I'm almost inspired if you've watched our Baldur's Gate 3 Let's Plays. There's a scene where, I won't spoil anything, but there's a certain figure who is kind of also kept in a magical prison stasis thing. And I thought that was really cool. So I'm trying to use a similar idea here. The art doesn't really, I guess I have to put them in the middle of the tiles right there. But I like the idea of their ritual actually keeping this character in there. And the reason they're doing that is because, and maybe the party won't know the context for this until they rescue her. The problem is, like, I can't do the normal dungeon thing, right? I can't just be like, oh, you can find journal entries somewhere that tell you, you know, what the Sahuagin are planning. Like, they don't write shit down. They, you know, they don't. It's underwater, so that you can't write anything down. And so it's a really weird context for me to try to seed those little like environmental storytelling moments out of here. When this is just like an enemy hostile faction base, so all of those like non-dangerous combat things have to come through like social encounters. Thankfully, there are a lot of NPCs that are in need of rescuing here, literally on every single level, and this is going to be the only one that we're going to put on level 2. So I'm adding the Lizard Folk Queen, Queen Othakent, who is from the Danger at Dunwater module, which I'm not technically using, but we pulled a little bit of ideas and characters from for the, I don't know if it's the last session or the session before that, technically. Probably the session before that where they actually met the Lizard Folk. And then Othakent, who we're going to place here, was the queen of the tribe, which I'm kind of toying with how to use her stat block as well, because I want to make her a particularly powerful Lizard Folk Queen and a very useful ally they can actually have with them, which means I can kind of play with the balance of this encounter. So there's 3 Sahuagin, what are they called? Priestesses? Is that what this one is? Let me check. Yeah, Sahuagin Priestess, who was a boss way back in the salvage operation module, which I believe was 3rd level. I think it was the only thing that did 3rd level, actually. I redesigned salvage operation quite a bit, but basically I turned this into the boss of salvage operation, and now it's just like one of the normal NPCs they fight, which I do always like that in really any game or D&D or something, to show a sense of progression. When like an original enemy you fight was a boss when you were this level, all of a sudden you get to this level and it's just another like minion, maybe like a powerful one, but you know, it's not a, you can just be like, oh man, remember when we fought these things and it was like really nasty. Turn off all their proper parameter things. So there's 3 of them who are powerful spellcasters, but they're not very powerful defensively, so they can actually be wiped out pretty quick. All of them are working to maintain this barrier 24/7. So it requires, that's why there's like spare priestesses. There's at least one here. I may actually throw another one somewhere, so they can always like rotate one out. But there's always one doing a ritual, and they're literally having to concentrate on it. I guess I should put this on the map layer. I don't know. Well, if I put you in back, yeah, that looks better. I like it on the token layer though, because then it looks like she's actually trapped in the bubble. That's a neat effect. So I may keep it on the token layer and just, I can always do send to back, or put it on the GM layer if I need to disappear it. So they will not be in the immediate combat. Actually reminds me of playing like Midnight Suns, when there's enemies who are, a lot of games do this actually, but there's enemies who are not actively fighting you, but they're doing a thing that you need to stop, right? You need to interrupt them. So literally concentration or incapacitate somebody. And if they do that to any one of those 3, that will break the concentration. It will free the Lizard Queen, who I probably need to give a Necklace of Adaptation to so that she can breathe underwater. Maybe they just gave her one before capturing her. Then the remaining ones can join the fight, but that also frees the Queen. So her stat block is going to matter because she could join in the fight. Meanwhile, there's also the High Priestess, who I moved from the throne room into the temple because that makes sense. She's a stat block we have not seen before. She's a CR5 spellcaster and basically just an upgraded version of those priestesses with the same kind of spells. I think she also has I don't think the others had fear. But spiritual weapon, guiding bolt, hold person, banishment if I wanted to use it. Basically just a spellcaster. I don't think any of her melee attacks are very good. But still a pretty powerful spellcaster. And I can give her extra hit points because she's a named NPC. And then on top of that, you've got this guy who's an absolute bruiser. This is the Uchulon, who I'm don't really have planning on doing anything. Basically, the High Priestess and him are just kind of hanging out in here, making sure everything is working and all that. What I am thinking of doing is, so if you recall, when they did the Wreck of the Golden Crown encounter, they found the this shield with an eye attached to it, which is from Call from the Deep, that actually could blast a mind blast effect out of it. Let's see if I can find is it under treasure. Would it be for Shield of Farsight? Let's see. Yes, it is. Whatever the Mind Flayer can give the shield to a thrall hanging on a wall in his lair. As long as the shield is on the same plane of existence, the Mind Flayer can see through the shield's eye. While peering through the magical eye, the Mind Flayer can use its Mind Blast action as though it were standing behind the shield. So, I talked about how maybe we want to have a more biological version of that Shield of Farsight and have this creature be the thing that can do that basically and is the avatar of the Mind Flayers and thus has the Mind Blast. Or I thought I could literally, and I had to do this, sorry Bear, you put like a book on this altar. It looks weird because we're underwater. I thought they needed something there. But I also thought I could use just that same object and put it on the altar and have that literally be the eyeball that's shooting out a Mind Blast if it needs to. And that's the thing that's actually giving out instructions. And then this creature is just here as an additional brute force power that the Mind Flayers were able to gift upon these creatures. And then they treat it as like an avatar of their gods. Which means if I do that, I would remove this creature's Mind Blast ability and give it to the shield and have it be like a shield environmental effect. But now I'm worried that actually makes this creature stronger because Mind Blast is an incredibly powerful ability, but that is its full action and it's on recharge. I could still have it on recharge for the shield, but that frees up this creature to basically do other things other than Mind Blast. On the other hand, it also gives the players a chance to destroy this object and thus negate the Mind Blast like they did with the Wreck of the Golden Crown. In fact, I need to pull up my notes on that so I can remember how I actually played that. That could be a version. So is it more fun to be like, oh, okay, we know what to do here. We recognize that thing. We need to take it out because it's going to Mind Blast us. Or is it more interesting to not have that and instead the creature itself is actually capable of Mind Blasting like a Mind Flayer? Let's see, Wreck of the Golden Crown. Yeah, so I treat it as a lair action with that encounter. Initiative count 20, the shield emits a psychic pulse. Oh, but I didn't do, so I also scaled it down. It did not Mind Blast. Instead, it did, scaled down version of the damage with the save, and people turned frightened. So it did not actually stun. So I did, which they were, 2 or 3 levels lower. I don't remember how level they were for Wreck of the Golden Crown. That might have been 4th level. I don't know, man. The stun just freaks me out. And then the creature already has a great passive ability to knock people out, which is its skin. Every time you attack with a melee attack, forces a DC 13 con save, or be poisoned and paralyzed. So literally just by attacking, it can paralyze you. Now, we only really have one player character besides summons who attack in melee, and Gottwald's actually got a pretty good con save, so that might not be the worst thing. The Mind Blast is going to be hilariously effective if I use it to its utmost, but that would also probably knock out all the Sahuagin as well. Let's see, 13 intelligence save. Honestly, I like a lot of its other abilities, though. The Pincher and the Tentacles. In fact, the Tentacles also have a chance to paralyze, don't they? Let's see. Pincer does 10 bludgeon damage plus 5 poison damage. Must extend DC 13 con save or be poisoned and paralyzed. So it... Jesus Christ. It can poison and paralyze you just with its basic attacks. Target can repeat the save at the end of each of its turns, and the effect on itself is a success. And it's grappled. So with one attack, if this attack hits and you fail the save, you can be poisoned, paralyzed, and grappled. That's a bad day. Or, if the Uchulon is grappling a creature, the Uchulon can also use its tentacles once. Also, so it can still do 2 pincer attacks and a tentacle. Tentacle is if it's already got somebody grappled, that you can just force the con save. Okay, wait, that doesn't make sense. Oh, I guess maybe if they made the save against the pincer, they could just force it again and take 1d10 poison damage at the start of each of its turns. That's actually not that strong. We need to look at the original Uchulon now that I look at it. This thing just seems too awful. I might have to work on this. I could see like one thing knocking players out, or using different things that... You got to be careful with stun and paralyze. You really do. Like, Poison's a great one because it's a generic debuff. Frighten's great because it's a debuff that's very thematic. Paralyze is very scary. That's the worst one. Like, you can't do anything and everybody gets like automatic crits on you and shit. And then stun is just, you can't do anything. So let's compare it with the original Uchulon and see if I'm crazy. So this is the one that is designed for Call from the Deep. Not even for this area. This is something I'm just picking to choose to be here other than the Maw of Sekla. So this should be probably one of the hardest battles in the dungeon, and it rewards them with a pretty powerful NPC, I think, also. So we can compare these two. The left one is from Call from the Deep. Where is the right one from? Yeah, I was looking up spells to add to the Lizard Queen. Let's just search for it. UCHUULON. The 2 independent. I feel like the players will pick up quick on destroying the thing. Yeah, and they should. I mean, that's a good tactic for them. Just started watching Crafting Annihilation. Kronos, hello. I'm sure I sound and look better, like quality-wise. Well, hopefully I've gotten handsomer over the years. But thank you for catching the streams, and welcome to the actual live stream. This is several campaigns later. Yeah, poisoned, paralyzed, and grappled. That's hilarious. All right, it's the original Monster Manual Expanded is what is the right one is from. So, and there's a big scaling difference. The guy on the left, the one from Call from the Deep, only has a CR of 4 versus a CR of 7 for Big Uchi. Small Uchi has almost the same hit points, way less armor class, only 12. They both have the Paralytic Slime of a DC 13. Anything that hits it will be poisoned and paralyzed and repeat the save. However, the one on the right, you also take 1d10 poison damage. Since magic is the same. All right, attacks. Multi-attack. Makes 2 pincer attacks. If the Uchulon is grappling a creature, the Uchulon can also use tentacles once. That's the same on both of them. Damage is different. I just realized they both have a 10-foot range, too, on the pincher. It's a big creature. +5 versus +6. Damage. On the bludgeoning damage is the same, but the guy on the right's got the extra poison damage. Dude on the left, importantly, just grapples. That feels better. Just grapples you. And then, because then the tentacles... You know what's interesting, too? Multi-attack, if they make 2 pincer attacks, if the Uchulon is grappling a creature, the Uchulon can also use its tentacles once. So it could theoretically have 2 chances to attack somebody with pincer. If one of them succeeds, or if both of them, you can really grab, 2 handfuls, then they can immediately launch in with tentacles. And that forces a poison and paralyze, which you can repeat the save at the end of each turn. That actually feels a lot better. So I think I'm going to turn that off of this pincer. I think we're going to keep the damage and the to hit stats, the saves are actually the same. But I'm going to change the pincer to just include the grapple. We don't need to add all these effects to everything it does. Let's get rid of all of that and just say the target is grappled if it's a larger, smaller creature, and the Uchalan doesn't have 2 other creatures grappled. Meaning it has 2 hands or pincers. We could go ahead and keep the 1d10. I think you underestimate your players. Yeah, I do. Make things dead, then undead. I know. The one thing I don't want to just overdo is knocking people out completely. So I want to be careful about that. So I think that's the only change I'm going to make. We're going to keep everything else the same. Paralytic Slime is the same. The better stat block is the same. We're just going to delete the part about pincer automatically poisoning and paralyzing, because I think that should be the effect of the tentacles and its slime coat, I guess. Also, most importantly, the one on the right has the Mind Blast. This is the dreaded Mind Flayer ability. 90-foot cone is still hilarious to me. 6, what does it even look like? Let's click it. I rolled poorly and did 22 psychic damage. I rolled average and did 28 psychic damage. So probably somewhere around 25. That feels good, I think. The stun is nasty. The problem is you can effectively get stun locked. And that feels bad. And it's a big, beefy creature. So, but the other option is we could change it to the Shield of Farsight doing the Mind Blast. Which I would limit it to 30 feet. I just don't know what he thinks more interesting. Having this thing just swim up and blast everybody with psychic energy, which is nasty. And then the next round proceed to do its stuff. That could probably be pretty easy. Versus having it... And the thing is, if I put the shield all the way back here, which I just added this on here. I can change this graphic to something else. I just needed something to cover it. It wouldn't really effectively Mind Blast them from back where they are if they're at range. So it would almost like negate its effect from back here. I do want to roll for these guys' hit points while we're doing this, though. So High Priestess... We want higher than average hit points. 68 is not higher. 73 is technically higher. Why do I even roll? Let's just give you some good hit. Let's give you... Let's see, 11 times 8 is 88 plus 22. Why don't we just give you... like 85 hit points. That feels like... You won't get killed in a single round or two. For a spellcaster, that's actually a ton. So she's going to be the main danger because they'll be focused on this thing and then this guy will get in their face. But she can cast a lot of fun spells like Spiritual Weapon. And she can do Hold Person also. She can Paralyze. And that's one that's concentration based versus all these other effects. Really are not. Uchalan, we could also... We could roll randomly or give you higher hit points. You're technically not a... You are kind of a boss. I always give bosses max HP. Yeah. It's tough because this one kind of has multiple bosses, right? So, like, technically there's the Baron and the Baroness, who are the bosses. The Priestess is a boss. The Uchalan is kind of... It's really just a fancy big creature. She's really the boss of this temple as the head spellcaster priestess, but he is technically worshipped. This creature is worshipped as the avatar of their god. God, max hit points is like 150. That would be pretty brutal, but we should probably do that because what was that fucking like? They took out like a Minotaur skeleton or something in like 2 hits. You gotta remember, man. Matt can do how much damage per round with a sharpshooter, doing like 16 damage a hit if he hits, and he's probably going to hit most things. So can easily probably do 30 damage a round. Boss adjacent counts as a boss. All right. So we'll give it 150 hit points. Does that make everybody happy? We'll give it 150, and we'll go and give her a solid 100. Y'all talk me into it. We're playing for keeps now. These minion priestesses, though, they were randomly rolled. Just got the random hit points. So that's the big question: is do I want to use the Shield of Farsight thing and have this big eyeball looking out that is like the Mind Flayers commanding them? Or do we just use this creature as the avatar? It was literally like speaking, or it's probably not even speaking. Let's see. Understands deep speech but can't speak. So it's probably using telepathy. The one thing I don't want to confuse the players on, though, is that this isn't physically one of the Mind Flayer leaders. This is just a creature that has been enthralled. Let's see. Slime jewels. Implant jewels with illithid tadpoles. In fact, weirdly, you'd think they would be as intelligent and stuff as them, but it's not really a true Mind Flayer then. Process Ceramorphosis that kills the Uchulon, kills the tadpole, and transfers the Uchulon into a blue slime-covered mockery of its old form. Slime which covers the Uchulon, similar to that secreted by Chul's tentacles. Yeah, so maybe it's just a creature that was gifted to them. So I may remove its Mind Blast. I don't know. I can't decide now. I don't have to decide now, I suppose. We can think about it some more. We're getting ahead of the players, which is good. This one does go off. Yes, that deals damage. Let's see. Pincer. Oh, that's a crit. A crit when you're rolling two different kind of dice attacks is pretty fabulous. We're going to have a grapple off with Gottwald. Grapple off. So that's the current idea. And then when they free the Lizard Queen, I was going to give... She's basically the Lizard Queen stat block, but jacked up with spellcasting, in which I added spellcasting from the Sub-Chief. I even briefly looked at allowing her to transform into like a powerful like giant lizard thing using the Lizard Render stat block. But then I thought I'm probably putting too much effort into trying to make my NPC cool, and then the players aren't going to give a shit, and I don't want to steal their thunder either when they're in the middle of this battle. But it would be kind of cool if they free her, and instead of her being all groggy and knocked out, she comes out of it and she's like fucking ready to throw down like right then and there, and she like comes out and can like immediately start casting spells. So that's why I wanted to give her some fun spells to cast, and you know, maybe I should give her like Mass Healing Word or something. That would make the players feel pretty happy about it. Because using silence is not going to be good. Dispel magic may be good if somebody else is doing something. I could just have her be firing guiding bolts, I suppose. But I thought that'd be a cool thing to have her be like a reward for them coming in here and saving her is actually get her like in the middle of the fight. And she's supposed to be like very intelligent. She was the head of the tribe, and she was very savvy about knowing other, you know, races and factions and characters and all these things. So I think she would kind of pick up on what's going on and be like, all right, I guess I'm joining this party. And especially if they name drop any of the, you know, lizard folks they worked with and stuff. The lizard folks, not the lizards folk. Also, we should have this priestess and the sharks join the fight in Area 34. If they don't clear them out, I think they're the only additional ones we have in these side rooms. I think all the rest of them are empty. 31, 32, 30. These are all priestesses' quarters. 31, 32, 33. 35 has the rupture weed. And 36 has some treasure. And 37 is the temple. So yeah, only 34 actually has any other creatures in it. And it's the priestess with 4 shell sharks. So It does mention the fact that any battle in the temple will not draw additional people, but I'd like to think that at least the priestesses nearby, maybe they're just coming and going naturally or something, would be in addition to the fight. Or, you know, you always like a good boss fight that can add new enemies, especially if the players end up kind of kicking a little too much ass at the beginning, then I think you can throw more enemies at them. And the shell sharks would probably be the perfect thing because they're very uncomplicated. They're just like plate armor sharks, basically, which is sounds stupid, but is a very effective stat block, actually. Give somebody where essentially shoring up one of its few weaknesses. Well, one of its weaknesses is sharks who can only swim, so we're in a swimming dungeon. That takes care of that weakness. And the other weakness is that they have a low AC. Well, unless they have like special shark plate armor, and then they've got fantastic AC. So that is going to be the temple room right now, with me still not deciding if I want the Uchalon to actually have the Mind Blast and speak through the Mind Flayer stuff, or have it still be on the shield and have the more of the priestess, I guess, do the talking, and this thing just be like a big, brutish, monstrous creature, and she can just mention the fact that it's like an avatar of their god. And of course, if they do manage to free the Lizard Queen earlier rather than later, she will knows the facility completely. Even though it's flooded now, she would definitely be able to, tell them exactly where they need to go for all the things. And if I give her a necklace adaptation, that eventually, most likely, becomes the player's necklace of adaptation. And I think, from what I can tell, Max still needs a method of breathing underwater, I guess. I thought everybody had something by now, but it sounded like he was still like just holding his breath or something stupid. Yeah, it's already in here, but haven't ended up with it. It does require attunement. I think for some reason they gave Toril. Did Toril have this? I could have swore Toril had something that was like, you can breathe in a vacuum. It was some kind of cape though, wasn't it? Survival mantle, that's what it was. Which is basically the same fucking thing, except for some reason it doesn't have attunement. Yeah, it's literally the same thing as Necklace of Adaptation, except it doesn't require attunement. It can't be worn with armor, though. Is he wearing that? I need to look that up. Magic item attunements. No, he's not wearing it. Okay. I guess I just gave it to him and nobody... Well, that's right. He breathes underwater, doesn't need it. So I guess I showed them the survival mantle, but nobody's... Oh, and then Matt can't have it either because he can't wear armor. Shit. So maybe I just gave it to them, but then nobody could actually use the damn thing. Savra could use it if she wanted to. She's already got 3 items attuned, though. Huh. Alright, well, I need to give... I think I'll need to give the Lizard Lady a Necklace of Adaptation. And I believe that will solve all my problems, and eventually the players can have it. Okay, why don't we talk about the other big area, which is the throne room. Trying to get there. Did I already put the other ones in the place? I did not do 39. Which has 10 shell sharks. Alright, well, so if you go the left way, you have to fight shell sharks, but you don't come across the shell shark room. If you go the right way, you have to fight Sahuagin, and you do come across the shell shark room. Shell shark room. Let's see, so which... I could use this one, but I already rolled the hit points, so they'd all be... be able to roll them. Let's just grab another shark. They're just hanging out in here. One of 2 large shark pens on the second level of the fortress. Because of the seaweed, they sneak around. They just swim through the water in this room. They're always hungry. Attack creature enter the room other than Sahuagin. Well, they could also just dart at this. The awkward thing about this is people aren't opening rooms and activating the room of enemies like XCOM style. Like, there's all these open rooms. So if you swim by, like, the shark's gonna fucking see an attack, right? You are not a hunter shark, though. You are a shell shark. Which is smaller, but armored. Shell comes after Sawa. C-S-H-E, there it is. Shell, shark. Not a fucking word I want to say too often. NPC AC. Yep, that's correct. Shell, shark, shack. Damn you, Lumpy. So it's got 32 average hit points. There we go. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Shell sharks is a pain in the ass fight. You really want to sneak past these guys. Dang. Oh, why didn't I? Shit. Hang on. Let me try this again. I have to put my little token on them to show that they are armored. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. I remember the Ninja Turtles. Shell shock. There we go. And roll. Random hit points. Yay, the macro. Yeah, I assume. I mean, they're only going to be a couple feet away. 20 feet, 25 feet. Stealth checks required, I think, here. What is the shark's perception of 10? 10 for the shark? Shark's gotta be paying more attention than that. They never rest. Never sleeps. It will never stop hunting you. The Sharkinator. 10 feels low. 10 feels... 10 I mean, you pass without trace. Like, you got it. You can get past him then. Disadvantage. Oh, that's a good idea, Nate. Disadvantage on stealth roll if anyone is injured. Blood in the water. They do have advantage on melee attack rolls, just like the Sahuagin. Or should I say the Sahuagin are just like the sharks? Oh, the shell shark also advantage on spells. Damn, forgot about that. That's a 0 speed. If it does, that's not correct. Oh, well, it's 0 outside of land. It's 40 feet swim. That makes sense. Shark does not move very fast on land. Thank fucking Torm for that. Or we would all be enslaved by our shark overlords, I think. Nature's perfect killing machine is thankfully consigned to the ocean. Nah, shout out to Shark. Sharks are great. 41. And yeah, 40's got the... Room 40's got the telepathic lobster that I... Normally, as a creature, I would love to play with. Seems like a total delight. But I've got all these NPCs in here. We've got Borges, we've got Kish, which are both from the module that I'm using, which I'm throwing at the players already. I've inserted Othokent from basically Danger at Dunwater, and then there'll be other NPCs they can rescue up at level 1. I just don't think we're going to need a very random ass, like, where did this creature come from? Why does it have telepathy? Why does it have knowledge of all the rooms? Creature. I cannot come up with a good story reason for it. It feels like something that would be goofy and fun, but I feel like in a lot of situations the DM needs to play the straight man role. And I don't mean that like sexuality wise. I mean like in a comedy, you've got, you know, a person who's funny. Buddy comedies obviously do this a lot. You got the funny person and so let's talk about Deadpool Wolverine, right? You've got the funny person, you've got the serious person, basically. And I feel like the DM, usually is the serious person to a degree. Obviously, I'm not having fun and stuff, but like I'm playing the serious characters, and the players are coming in and they are playing up the comedy of it and the the funny meme worthy moments and everything. In fact, the few times I've come in with a specific comedy character, it oftentimes doesn't actually go over very well, even though I'm having a delight. But then the players are like, they're kind of rolling their eyes at it, and I can tell that. And I think that's a little bit because of I'm stealing their thunder. Like they're the ones that are making the jokes and the memes and all the things. Which isn't to say I'm not having fun, but I do feel that the DM, at least in our situation, often plays the you can be a normal person in a funny world or a funny person in a normal world, right? And I feel like the players usually want to be the funny people, so then it's my job to be like the normal world. So anytime I make like a crazy kind of joke character, I don't know if it works too well. But I'm curious to know if any of you have that experience with your groups, or if it's just my group that does that. If you try and insert some like, total like jokey character. I don't know. I guess a talking lobster wouldn't have to be a jokey character, but I don't know how else to play that and how else it wouldn't immediately become that either. Like everybody starts making jokes and stuff, and I mean, hell, Mac already ate like sentient lobster people, so I don't know why he wouldn't just immediately make jokes out of that as well. The banquet hall is completely empty, which is interesting. A very large room with nobody in there. Although it does have pillars. I keep missing all these pillars we need to make dynamic lighting for. Let's make some more dynamic lighting. So it looks cool when we swim through. Sometimes large empty rooms can be very intimidating. If I'm playing a video game, I'm like, all right, well, this is going to be a fight at some point because nobody makes a big empty room and doesn't use it. But in this case, this is actually just a big empty room. However, the room leading up to it here is the throne room, which is not empty, but we can also probably change this situation around a little bit. The throne room is 42, which has the Baron, I believe. The High Priestess is normally in this room, so I'm making this room a little bit weaker, but we could talk about adding some of the side room creatures in there. There's a Sahuagin speaking to the Baron. Offensive remarks made by another Sahuagin. I want the Baron to punish the offender. Baron is growing impatient with the pettiness and close to feeding all involved parties to the Maw of Zakala. Baron Ketmak sits on his throne with High Priestess Thadra stands at his sides. We've already taken out the Priestess. Where is the Baron? This is not the right one. That's Danger Dunwater. We want the final enemy. So the Baron is not in here. Where's the Baron? Sahuagin Baron 3. Where are you? The problem is I've added all these modules and they all have the different creatures on there. I wonder if shoot, is it salvage operation? Yes, there you are. Sahuagin Baron 3. I guess salvage operation randomly came with some Sahuagin and then they're not appearing in the other ones. Alright, so let's see. Put you here on the throne room. You actually fit very nicely. Probably give you maximum health as well. Alright, Ketmak. So I took out the High Priestess. There's a Sahuagin here with 2 floating in attention are Sahuagin champions. Wow. So you've got the Baron and 2 champions. That's pretty legit. Although, unlike the Priestess battle, nobody in here, I think, has spellcasting capabilities. Also, the best strategy for the players is just to throw that Hunger Fadar in there, which always fucks me up pretty good. And I don't think they'll be able to use it very well in the Priestess fight because they're trying to save an NPC. I mean, I guess they could still try, but that would be kind of rude for the NPC they're trying to save. Champions are medium-sized, right? Yes. 3 attacks. And Blood Frenzy. Tiefling Tension Sahuagin champions and 2 shell sharks swim high above the throne. They are pets of the Baron and defend if attacked. Alright, well I'm already liking who all's in here. I'm just going to take 2 of the higher hit point sharks and throw them in here. We'll just put them in random places. They don't get caught in any damn AoEs. Characters with the act for 10 minutes. Witness the Baron rise and issue an angry judgment before turning to consult with the priestess on other matters. Use Sahuagin champions and Sahuagin complaint. Leave to the main entrance south and travel to their respective posts. Oh. Well, they'll be coming from the south, right? There's no other way in. Actually, there's a secret door. That's interesting. They would only know about this secret door if they free the Lizardfolk Queen first. If they randomly go to the temple first and free the queen, she can be like, this is a much better way to get inside. Otherwise, they'll have to go up this main entrance, and then there's no way to stealth this. This is just coming up to this guy. But yeah, we could throw just 2 random Sahuagin in here, like they're in the middle of a scene. There we go. Like they're just discussing something. Or maybe just one. Maybe just one Sahuagin pleading to the Baron about something stupid. Who knows? Is your AC? Let's give me that stupid bug for this one again. Come to the room, throne attracts the attention of a wandering patrol, which arrives in 1d6 plus 1 rounds later. Okay, that's very different from the temple then, where no ads come. What do Sahuagin use for underwater lighting? They do not. I believe it specifically says in the first dungeon there is hardly any lighting down here because they all have 120 feet of dark vision. But I will look it up for you. Illumination. No permanent light sources exist inside the stronghold, since the Sahuagin have no need of them. In areas where slaves work, a light is often necessary for their sake. If an area must be illuminated temporarily, the Sahuagin fashion torches to the walls that produce light throughout the room. I don't know how that's possible because 2/3 of the dungeon is underwater. When the adventure begins, Area 19 and Area 37 are the only places in the fortress not shrouded in darkness. So Area 19 is where the slaves are currently excavating a room. It's the room on the first floor that leads to the second floor. And then Area 37 is the temple, which I did put light in the temple, but you did just remind me that I haven't actually put a physical representation of that light. So if you go to the light layer, you can see the torches here. But there's a good point that I actually haven't added. I need to add some, like, I don't know, bioluminescent mushrooms or crystals or something in this room that makes sense why there's light around here. Or maybe just show, maybe I could just light up these sigils. Maybe that could look cool instead. Might do that. What if we just light this area up? Like that. So like all the lights coming off of this center area. That could work. So we're actually going to delete some of these other lights. Talked me into it. Maybe that's got some light coming off of it as well. Because so they don't need any light whatsoever. They can operate in darkness. Okay, so that's really going to show off this room then. So let's say you are Gottwald coming around the corner. As you do. Because Gottwald's got dark vision, so he can see normally. So his might not actually be that impressive. So he looks... Yeah, it's like perfectly lit up for him. Stupid dark vision. God, he must have that super dark vision then, right? Jesus Christ. It's insane. All right, let's choose somebody that does not have dark vision, which this is actually going to be a problem for the players because 3 of the 4 of them do not have any kind of dark vision, I believe. Normally, Matt can cast as a spell. They've been using Savra's zombies carrying a drift globe, but obviously anybody carrying light is going to instantly give the game away because this place is completely dark, and that's something I will have to mention to the players. This is normally what they can see without any dark vision. However, you can actually look in here and see that this is now completely lit up in here. So, but it's literally fades into complete darkness. I do like this effect. I would recommend this in dynamic lighting with Roll20 every time. If your player has no night vision whatsoever, give them like 5 feet of night vision so at least they can see their immediate surroundings. And then it becomes like a fucking horror movie when they're trying to walk around. But that will be a challenge. They're going to have to deal with that for this dungeon. If they're like legitimately trying to stealth, they will have to snuff out light sources and either have Matt cast dark vision on everybody or some people, or rely on the people that do have dark vision until they can get to an area where they can see the light. It calls me. That's a good question though. Let's see, level 2. So a patrol, direct attack is likely to wipe out a party. A direct attack is likely to wipe out a party that tries to kill the entire royal group. Character's mission was designed as a reconnaissance effort for good reason. So that's a different change. I'm actually encouraging the players to take out the Sahuagin leadership. But, so maybe I need to hold off on the patrol. And actually, if they attack from the south, that would behoove the players because they wouldn't really, the Sahuagin wouldn't really be able to escape. In fact, you could even argue the Sahuagin don't even know about the secret entrance, maybe. Or escape to get reinforcements. What they could do is grab reinforcements from the side rooms, however. Because those rooms are full of baddies. No magic items really in here either. A lot of just gold items they can grab. Although Lizardfolk Queen will have a necklace of adaptation. So that's already a decent boss room. We're going to give our Baron some more hit points, though, for sure. Fix your stat block. Which, it's just a more powerful champion, I think. Kind of barely more powerful. Champion 71 hit point, 16 AC. Also has triple attack, +5 to hit. Blood Frenzy. The Baron has better saving throws. Basically the same hit points, the same AC, the same triple attack. Has a trident instead of a spear, which does more damage, and a +7 hit versus a +5, so he's just a stronger champion. But we will give him a lot more hit points. 90, 10, +27. I think we can give him a full 100 hit points. No arguments from anyone? I don't hear any arguments. Boom. Which I don't think I'm giving anybody max here quite, but I guess I can do the math to figure out what his maximum hit points is. 117, I think, is his max. Let's see. Because that is 90. It is 117. Want to give him the max or the priestess the max hit points? The priestess is in a nearby room. Or not the priestess, the baroness, which I assume the baroness is the same stat block. 43, the royal servants' chambers. Did I put numbers up here? I did. Go me. It's actually several. Oops, I think I might have forgotten a room here. Did I forget a room? What's the original one say? I did. I forgot room 45. 45. That's where the Baroness is. Look at the crapness of the original map. Man. What a difference. Alright. So jump down to 43. So the problem here is you could get... None of these guys have spells, though. But it's just going to be a lot of enemies. Still, I mean, Toril could just unleash the Hunger of Hadar, and that'd be a giant pain in the butt. As it always is. Let's give these guys roll. So the Royal Servants' Chambers is empty. Living Quarters of the Baroness is 44. Which is also currently empty, and then 45 is where she actually is at the moment. Baroness Seklas looms over her servant, accusing it of stealing one of her earrings. A single Wave Shaper. Is that a spellcaster? They just have the Wave Shape ability. They do have technically spells, but they're not combat spells. And that Whirlpool ability, it's fun, but very AoE-ish. Hopefully I could aim that more at the player's backline. I feel like that would fuck up a lot of the Sahuagin. They actually do a lot of good melee damage if they can hit, though. +4. Their damage is the most of, like, any Sahuagin, but they only have a +4 to hit. Wave Shaper. Let's go back down. So that's got a Baroness, Servant, and then the Wave Shaper by the entryway. So you're here. So the Baroness, yeah, it's just literally it's the same stat block. It's the Baron stat block. Potentially fighting 2 Barons. I mean, so that's interesting. The fact that you could get caught fighting 2 of these things. But you see what I mean when there's not like a central boss fight in this dungeon. It's like a lot of little sort of medium high, medium rare boss fights. Do we give her the same 100 hit point treatment? I think we do. She's got a name. Anybody's got a name is important. Whoa. Caps lock on. Baroness Seklas. Sexy Seklas. What the hell's a servant? Oh, it's the regular Sahuagin. Okay, so it opened that one up. That's fine. But they would be presumably called over, right? A single Sahuagin Wave Shaper is someone to dispose of the servant once the Baron's coming to do so. The characters enter common with these 3 Sahuagin servant slips away to find a nearby patrol in terms of reinforcements. It doesn't say, but surely... I mean, surely you would be... You would hear this... I don't know. I feel like you would definitely hear combat. Now, they're far enough away where maybe it would not be added immediately. What is the swim speed on a Sahuagin? 50 feet for the Baron is pretty impressive. So if you dash, you could make it all the way to the room 44 and almost have line of sight. It would take you only 2 rounds to join combat, it looks like. Shaper. Yeah, so I think that one's going to be able to join pretty easily. And then I don't think there's anything on the left side, which is the Baron's living quarters, just minor treasure, and the Baron's sleeping quarters, which has good treasure, but still no actual magic items, just a whole bunch of monetary loot. God, if the players ever need a bag of holding, this was the time. It's Hunger of Hadar in the 3rd dimension. I know what you mean, but it's funny. I originally thought you're talking about like it comes from a certain dimension. Like the otherworldly dimension of Milky Tentacles is the 3rd dimension. I think most spells are written where they talk about stuff as like a dome or something, but let's find out. It might just be a radius. It's a 20-foot radius sphere. So it's a sphere. So yeah, it's 3-dimensional. So I'm picturing... Oh yeah, sphere is a ball, so it would go in every direction. So you'd actually do it at a point, and it would go in 20 feet every single direction 3-dimensionally. So it would go up. Which I think there are some of the bigger rooms that only have like, they have 30 feet instead of 20. So I guess technically you could have like sharks swimming above it or something. There's a trapped chest in here. There is a secret door with a DC 14 perception check. I think I checked that last time we looked at the hallway. Which I think 2 of our players does have the passive of a 14. Is that right? 13 for Gottwald. Or no, is this might be the part that has like no perception. All right, Mac does have a 14. Ranger does have somewhat good perception. And 14 for Savra. 12 for Toril. So you could argue, which is the rules I had all the way back in Tomb of Annihilation, where if you're not actively telling me you're searching for doors or traps or something, then I'm just using your passive. And if you're going like right next to a door, then I would track the passive. So if they end up going up this left side and swimming over here, I may have to say to Mac and Savra, hey, you both notice that this door over here, it's like in Baldur's Gate when you walk into a room and it's just like perception check or something. Like it's not making you do it; you're just automatically making those passive checks, which is I like that part of the game. I mean, they would all, if I do that and they go up this left side, they would all but be guaranteed to immediately check that out and sneak their way over here and then potentially automatically find this big Baron boss fight already and be able to actually surprise them because they would be coming from the left side, which would be a better chance to surprise. So they may jump into this big throne room battle pretty early, but that would be kind of one of their missions is to take out like the Sahuagin leadership, and that would be extremely effective to take out the Baron. And I can kind of, jack with the balance of the fight by then having the Baroness, show up with the Wave Shaper and the other Sahuagin on the right side, and not even having to use any patrols yet. But just the fact there's like another like equally strong giant Baron stat block coming down that way, which could be pretty interesting. So pretty satisfied with both these rooms, I think, for the most part. Still not sure where or if we even will need to use any of these patrols. It's just supposed to, like, if the players are taking too long, or really if they get a short rest, although short rest, we said only 5 minutes. It just kind of depends on how they're doing, if they're really avoiding every single fight, and, what the balance feels like in terms of their attrition and everything. And if they're really lingering, exploring areas, then we can kind of launch one of these patrols just swimming through the area. I do want to hit them with at least once and force them to use like a rope trick or something to escape, or they can battle if they want. But otherwise, I think those two rooms are the main ones that we'll be looking at for level 2. I mean, there's a lot of hallways we can have fun with in terms of patrols coming through, and I don't think we'll use this bottom half section at all. The only stat block we're not looking at being able to use yet is the Hatchling Swarm. So I'll have to figure out if there's a spot I can use that for, or excuse I can use it with. I'm not sure if we'll get a chance to. Otherwise, I think we'll end up using at least everybody once in this dungeon. So best case scenario, the players just zip line to the throne room, beat it up, beat everybody in here, make their way to the temple, beat everybody in there, rescue the queen, and then they will have to go down to room 20, which if they go straight down there, there's no opposition. Go up to level 1, and I believe take out just a few of the last remaining Sahuagin. But at that point, like, alarms should be blaring, more Sahuagin appearing, and hopefully we can do some kind of crazy, like, chase sequence to get them out of here. Or maybe they'll try to go back down the way. If they really kept things in a tight lid and not sounded any alarms and been really quick about it, then maybe they can actually try to sneak out. But I think going out... And so that'd be a weird thing, too. We've never usually done that, is having a big battle in a dungeon and then defeating the boss and then actually having more they have to do in the dungeon. In this case, they have to get out of the dungeon. We're not there yet in terms of having to discuss it, but it's something that we're going to have to think about. And I don't know, maybe the Elizabeth Queen is a way of contacting the outside forces or something. For now, I think that is going to do it for this Monday edition of Crafting the Deep. If you enjoy the content, as always, please check out patreon.com/Rogue Watson. Shouts to Platinum patrons Joe, Will, Thomas Stan, Brennan, Insider, Eclectic Roleplayer, Roll, Christopher, Corey, Big Nut, John F., John L., Eric, Tyler, Nathan, Cap Crystal, Counselor, Andrew, Dale, the Reldron, Captain Woody 79, Stephanie, Andy, Patrick, Jason, Ismail, Amit, Lumpy Spud, Sharni, David, William, Niziak, and Gold patrons, RPG, Papercrafts, Pretty Boy, and Yuma, Lizard, Lion, Sam, Jerome, Nathan, Pasiga, Torta, Scott, Rufus, Carolyn, Jerry, Glenn, Marcus, and Mark. Thank you all very much for your support. I will see you for another crafting episode on Thursday.